The unspoken truth of fast wealth: it's not about labor, it's about leverage. For centuries, one question has haunted ambitious minds, whispered in markets and boardrooms, a siren call that promises liberation: what is the fastest way to get rich? Most spend a lifetime searching, chasing promotions, side hustles, and lottery tickets. They believe the path is paved with incremental effort. But the truth has always been hidden in plain sight, guarded by those who benefit from your ignorance. The wealthy obscure a simple fact: if you understood the real game, you would stop building their throne and start carving your own. Let me be clear: riches do not automatically flow to the smartest person in the room, nor to the one who burns the midnight oil. If that were true, our teachers, nurses, and construction workers would be the aristocracy. No, wealth is not a reward for meritocratic suffering. Wealth is a consequence of power. It flows to those who understand how to control resources, bend situations to their will, and see the chessboard while others are still playing checkers. Centuries ago, the strategist Machiavelli, in his seminal work The Prince, laid this bare. He observed that power, and the riches that follow it, accrues to those who can master the art of control, perception, and decisive action. They don't just work within the system, they command it. Here is the uncomfortable truth that society avoids: most people are systemically designed to never get rich. Not due to a lack of capability, but because they are trapped in a mindset of servitude. They believe in the virtues of playing it safe, of 40 years of loyal service, of saving pennies while the powerful print money. Machiavelli would scoff at such a strategy. He'd say, wealth is the prize for bold moves, for calculated risks, and for the courage to do what others deem too dangerous. If you seek the fastest path to riches, you must first sear this principle into your consciousness: safe is slow. Bold is fast. The individual who dares to step where others hesitate is the one who scales the ladder while others are still arguing about its stability. The illusion of overnight success and the reality of strategy. When you witness a meteoric rise, it appears sudden. An unknown entity emerges, and within a year, they are commanding headlines, leading companies, and inhabiting a world that seems distant from our own. But this is an illusion. Their ascent was not magic, it was the result of a deliberate, often ruthless, strategy. They employed principles as ancient as warfare itself. They understood that wealth is not earned through labor alone, it is captured through leverage and positioning. Let's dismantle the core misconceptions that keep the masses in their place. The poverty trap, the cult of hard work. The most pervasive and damaging myth is that wealth is a direct product of effort. The mantra is seductive: work harder, hustle more, and you will break through. This is the sad truth: hard work, in isolation, is a trap. Observe society. The hardest, most physically demanding jobs are often the lowest paid. Why? Because the laborer is trading a finite resource, their time, for a fixed price. Their effort is sold to someone else. They are a cost on a spreadsheet, not a partner in the profits. Machiavelli exposed this dynamic: the man who works for another is always a servant. The man who makes others work for him is always a master. This is the fundamental divide. The masses remain broke because they look for money in the wrong place. They sell their labor, their most precious asset, instead of building systems that multiply it. The power principle: control creates wealth. To get rich fast, you must position yourself where your decisions move money, not your muscles. The wealthy don't just work, they own, they lead, they influence. They place themselves at the pinnacle of a value chain, where a single decision can redirect millions of dollars. The psychology of power: why certainty attracts riches. Why does this strategy work with such devastating efficiency? Because human psychology is wired to follow leaders, not equals. When you project certainty, confidence, and the capacity for bold action, people instinctively rally to your banner. They offer their time, their talent, and their capital. Once you control that flow of energy and resources, you can multiply it exponentially. Building power and influence is not just slightly more effective than hard work, it is an order of magnitude faster. The consequence of complacency, a life of quiet servitude. Choose the slow path, the safe route, and you willingly enter a game you cannot win. Imagine dedicating 40 years of your life, your prime years, only to retire with a meager savings that dictates a life of caution. This is not wealth, it is servitude with a pension plan. The cruelest part. You will have spent your life as an architect of someone else's empire. Those trapped in this cycle gaze at the wealthy and cry, luck. But it is not luck. It is by design. It is a Machiavellian design where every safe move you make reinforces the foundations of their kingdom, while you reside in a gilded cage of your own construction. The alternative, think like a prince, not a peasant. The escape begins with a fundamental shift in perspective. Stop asking, how can I make money? Start asking, how can I build power? Because power attracts money like a magnet. When you control attention, resources, and opportunities, money ceases to be a pursuit and becomes a natural byproduct. Look at any business empire, political dynasty, or industry titan. None arrived by simply working harder. They arrived by seizing control, by entering arenas where others feared to tread, and by moving with precision when the moment demanded it. The Machiavellian playbook, practical tactics for fast wealth. Build leverage, not labor. Stop thinking like a worker, start thinking like an owner. Ownership is the fastest escalator to wealth. This means owning a business, owning intellectual property, owning a brand, or owning assets that appreciate while you sleep. Cultivate a bias for action. Machiavelli noted that fortune favors the bold. Overthinking is the death of opportunity. When you identify a potential edge, move quickly. The world rewards speed and punishes hesitation. Test, iterate, and launch before the perfect moment passes you by. Command perception, your reputation is a currency. If you are perceived as powerful, competent, and unshakable, people will trust you, follow you, and invest in you. Craft your narrative with intention. Wealth is often built not on reality, but on the perception of reality. Cut the dead weight, do not waste years proving your loyalty to a system that has no intention of rewarding you. If your environment is a cage, walk out. Seek out dynamic, high-growth arenas where power is up for grabs and the rules are still being written. Weaponize leverage, understand and master the 4 levers of modern wealth. Money leverage, use other people's capital, debt, investment, to fund your ambitions. The poor fear debt, the rich use it as a weapon. People leverage, build a network, a team, an audience. Alone, you are a single thread, with an army, you are a tapestry of influence. Inspire others to multiply your efforts. Knowledge leverage, possess information that others do not. Be ahead of the curve. Turn knowledge into actionable strategy before the crowd catches on. Attention leverage, in the digital age, attention is the ultimate currency. Capture it, and you can convert it into influence, sales, and power at an astonishing speed. The inevitable resistance, a sign you are on the right path. When you begin to play this game, you will be tested. You will face envy, doubt, and active sabotage from those you leave behind. Do not be dismayed. Machiavelli taught that resistance is not a sign of failure, but proof of your growing power. If no one is trying to stop you, it means you are not moving fast or boldly enough to be a threat. The advanced game, capture, don't just create. For those who wish to master this, understand that the fastest wealth sometimes comes not from creating something new, but from strategically capturing what already exists. History's great fortunes were often built on seizing markets, consolidating competitors, or claiming resources others overlooked. The world is filled with dormant value, waiting for someone with the vision and audacity to claim it. The average person, heads down in their work, never sees these opportunities. The final command. The fastest way to get rich is to undergo a profound transformation, from servant to strategist. Your mind must become sharper than your hands. Your courage must roar louder than your fears. Your moves must be bolder than those of everyone in your vicinity. That is the chasm that separates the rich from the rest. Once you master this, once you stop chasing money and start architecting power, you become an unavoidable force. People cannot ignore you. Opportunities cannot bypass you. Money flows into your life at a velocity that seems unreal to those still playing the old game. They will call you lucky. They will call you ruthless. But you will know the truth. You simply learned the rules and played the game as it was always meant to be played. You played it the Machiavellian way. The architecture of leverage, the 4 pillars of rapid wealth. Understanding that power precedes profit is the first awakening. The next is mastering the tools to build that power. Machiavelli understood that a prince's strength was not in his own sword arm, but in his control of resources, alliances, and intelligence. For the modern aspirant, this translates to 4 distinct forms of leverage. To ignore them is to choose to swim against the tide, to master them is to command the current. The lever of capital, money. The poor see debt as a chain. The rich see it as a key. The middle class saves to eventually spend, the strategic borrower uses capital as a force multiplier. It is not about what you can afford with your savings, but what you can control with strategically deployed capital, whether it's yours or someone else's. An investment property, a business acquisition, a market position, these are assets commanded, not just purchased. The question shifts from, can I afford this, to, how can I control this? The lever of people, alliances and labor. No empire was ever built by one pair of hands. The speed of your ascent is directly proportional to your ability to harness the efforts and ambitions of others. This is not merely about hiring employees. It is about building alliances of mutual interest, attracting talent by selling a vision, and creating structures where the success of others is tied to your own. A lone genius is a scholar, a genius who can mobilize a team is a ruler. The lever of knowledge, asymmetric information. In the age of information, the greatest weapon is not knowing what everyone else knows, but knowing what they don't. This is asymmetric information, the critical insight that allows you to act while others hesitate. It is the data point that reveals a market inefficiency, the emerging trend spotted before it becomes a headline, the deep understanding of a system that allows you to navigate it more effectively than your competitors. This knowledge is not passive, it is operational intelligence. The lever of attention, perception and influence. Machiavelli famously wrote of the importance of appearances. In our connected world, attention is the tangible expression of perception. The person who commands attention controls the narrative. A strong brand, a loyal audience, a reputation for success, these are not vanities. They are capital. They attract opportunities, preempt objections, and allow you to define the terms of any engagement. When people look to you, you no longer have to seek, you are sought. The strategic deployment, from levers to movement. Knowing the levers is useless without the will to pull them. This is where Machiavellian virtue, a combination of strategic prowess, boldness, and decisiveness, comes into play. The fallacy of ready, the common mistake that kills momentum is waiting for the perfect alignment of resources, knowledge, and timing. This is a fantasy of the risk-averse. The strategist understands that conditions are never perfect. Speed itself creates opportunities that are invisible to the stationary. Your first move, even if imperfect, creates data, attracts allies, and forces the environment to react to you. Action is the catalyst that clarifies the path. The psychology of the bold move. Why does this work? Because the world is drawn to certainty, even if it is projected. A bold move, backed by conviction, creates a gravitational pull. It inspires confidence in the uncertain and provides a banner for others to rally to. Your certainty becomes their certainty, and in doing so, you amass the social and financial capital needed to turn your move into a victory. The inevitable backlash, enemies as a metric. As you rise, you will not be met with universal applause. You will create envy. You will disrupt established hierarchies. You will make enemies. The novice sees this as a sign of failure. The Machiavellian sees it as a key performance indicator. Resistance is a signal that you are threatening the existing order. If your ascent is frictionless, you are not climbing, you are strolling on level ground. The criticism, the whispers, the attempts to undermine you, these are the proof that your power is growing. Your capacity to anticipate, absorb, and neutralize these attacks is not a separate skill from wealth building, it is an integral part of it. The endgame, from wealth to sovereignty. The ultimate goal of this journey is not merely a large bank account. That is a byproduct. The true endgame is sovereignty. Sovereignty is the point where you are no longer a player in someone else's game, but the architect of your own reality. It is when others rely on your systems, your capital, your influence more than you need their approval. You transition from being a subject of the market to a shaper of it. At this level, money loses its scarcity. It becomes a tool, a scorecard for a much greater game, the game of lasting impact and legacy. This is the level Machiavelli reserved for his most admired princes, not just the man who gained power, but the man who could hold it, expand it, and imprint his will upon the world. The final commandment. The bridge between your current reality and the sovereignty you seek is built not with wishes, but with decisive, leveraged action. The analysis is over. The principles are clear. The moment for deliberation has passed. Identify the single most impactful lever available to you right now. Is it a partnership you've hesitated to propose? Propose it. Is it a skill that would give you an asymmetric advantage? Acquire it. Is it a bold move you've rationalized away as too risky? Execute it. Do not tomorrow. Do not next week. The seeds of power only grow when planted. Begin.